in-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News Today.
How many homes you or your neighbor can build on residential lots in Austin is changing. The so-called home initiative will increase the number of homes allowed to be built from 1 to 3. Good morning, I'm Tom Miller.
Good morning, I'm Sally Hernandez. New overnight after nearly 12 hours of public comment. City Council members approved the first phase of the initiative. It's intended to create more housing options for Austinites. HOME is an acronym for Home Options for Middle Income Empowerment. It's a series of proposed changes to Austin's Land Development Code and other incentives for creating or preserving housing. It has several elements in it, and there are expected to be additional phases moving forward.
Those for that initiative say it will create more affordable housing.
We have an affordability problem in this city because city councils, before these guys are here, for years and years, took actions to limit supply.
Now, hundreds of people who showed up against the plan worry developers are going to bulldoze single-family homes that are affordable right now and build pricey townhomes.
And therefore displace many people of color and other low-income and middle-income homeowners.
You know, the initiative makes it legal to build up to 3 homes on a single property, patch loopholes in Austin's Land Development Code to more easily allow for tiny homes to be considered a unit on a lot zoned as a single family. It would also create a bonus program to encourage the preservation of houses already on lots and set size constraints to force smaller units. When we go in depth here, how do we get at this point? Well, the last time the city made a change to its development code was back in the 80s. Since then, the city has made attempts to change the code, but a group of homeowners sued the city twice over the process. In 2020, a judge ruled in favor of homeowners. The other lawsuit is still in the hands of a judge.
First warning weather with meteorologist Kristen Curry.
Well, good Friday morning to you. We start with a live look outside, taking you down to South Austin. This is our Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center camera. You can see nicely those clouds that are sitting on top of us. Not going to squeeze anything out of the clouds, but the clouds will be with us at least through the first half of the day. Some more sunshine on the way this afternoon. Temperatures wildly warm this morning for this time of year. We're seeing 60s out there in the hill country, 65 Marble Falls, 63 in Round Mountain, Fredericksburg at 62. These should be our high temperatures this time of year, but it's just so mild out there. We've got a lot more humidity in play today too, with that southerly wind and a little bit of prefrontal warming, keeping Austin Metro in the 60s as we start our Friday. Right now 67 degrees in Taylor, 65 downtown. Eastern counties, no exclusions here. You too are in those mid to upper 60s. So unseasonably warm start and an unseasonably warm finish. Those 60s going well into the 70s today. Forecast high 78 with increasing sunshine this afternoon. But boy, do we have big changes on the way for tomorrow. Strong cold front on the way. I'll break down the impacts and the timing of when you can expect those changes in your first warning forecast.
Kristen, thank you. We are learning more about the moments leading up to the deaths of the 2 people on Shadywood Drive killed in this week's shooting spree.
One of the people killed was a handyman outside a home. KXAN Sarah Al-Shea spoke with the family of the other victim, a young mother walking her baby in that neighborhood. Her family tells us that her quick thinking ultimately saved her little boy's life.
Just the friendliest, kindest, just a sweet angel.
In just a few weeks, Sabrina Rahman was supposed to celebrate her 25th birthday.
She was a beautiful mother. She was a beautiful aunt to my 2 daughters, a beautiful younger sister, a beautiful daughter to her parents.
But instead, her family is left planning her funeral. Rahman was one of 2 victims fatally shot on Shadywood Drive in South Austin on Tuesday. The other person was 32-year-old Emmanuel Pope-Ba.
He's never complained. Hard worker, worked for his family. A gentle giant. Tough as an ox.
Rahman's brother-in-law and her husband Ishraq Islam say Pope-Ba was doing handiwork for them at the home and was taking his lunch break outside when he was shot.
The assailant, he came, he shot him through the passenger window.
Rahman was on her way back home from a walk with her baby boy at the time. They say she saw the whole thing.
He saw her react, scream, and run. She ran to a neighbor's house. She threw Ibrahim, my nephew's stroller, at the neighbor's door. She pivoted to run the other way. This person ran out of the car, ran at her. He put the gun to her head, and he pulled the trigger.
The Austin Police Department says the suspect in this homicide is also connected with 2 other homicides and the shootings of an Austin Independent School District officer and an APD officer.
Why wasn't anybody alerted?
We seen one message. My wife wouldn't go out. I would still have a wife. My son would still have a mom.
Ultimately, Rahman's family says it was her quick actions pushing her son's stroller toward a neighbor's home that saved him.
He was her life. The moment he was born, everything was for him. She spent every minute with him. They're heavily attached.
And now it's their son that's motivating the family to push through this difficult time.
We're gonna raise this boy like he didn't miss a beat. But it's going to be tough.
Sarah Al-Shah, KXAN News.
Family tells us the Islamic Center of Greater Austin will hold Rahman's funeral service this afternoon around 1. It says all are welcome to join.
We also know the names of 2 more victims killed during that shooting spree on Tuesday. Police say 56-year-old Catherine Short and 30-year-old Lauren Short were found just before 7 o'clock in a home off of Austral Loop. That's in the Circle C neighborhood in southwest Austin.
Special counsel has indicted President Biden's son Hunter on 9 tax-related charges in California. This indictment includes 3 felony counts. The White House has declined to comment and referred NBC News to Hunter Biden's personal attorney, as well as the Justice Department. Special counsel brought these charges following the collapse of Hunter Biden's plea deal last summer. And a Texas family is in mourning this morning after an 18-wheeler hit and killed their son as he was getting off a school bus. Happened yesterday evening on US 59 near Livingston. Investigators say the school bus stopped in the outside lane with its flashing lights on and its stop sign extended.
A Toyota was behind that school bus when the northbound semi-truck hit the back of it. The semi then veered right and hit the teenager in the driveway. 15-year-old died at the scene. The driver of the Toyota and the semi-truck were not hurt. Attempted arson at MLK Jr.'s birth home. How 2 tourists saved the day.
And billboards are popping up in El Paso promoting sanctuary cities. Why some are calling this misleading to migrants. Good morning. We are waking up on this Friday with a live look from the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center. The moon is illuminating some of the features there. Hope you're having a great start to your day. I want to tell you about this. A woman is in custody this morning accused of trying to set Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth home on fire.
Yeah, authorities responded to the home shortly before 6 last night. The home, located on 501 Auburn Avenue in Atlanta, has been temporarily closed for rehabilitation work. When authorities got there, they found 2 off-duty police officers who had been visiting the center and who had the suspect detained until others could arrive.
It was 2 tourists in the area who saw that woman pouring gas on the home. Investigators say they interrupted her. That 26-year-old woman is now charged with attempting arson and interference with government property. A local mom had given birth to 14 puppies, the adorable tie that they have to Austin's very own Big 12 champions. I bet you know who I'm talking about.
That's how you can help kids process their big feelings when random acts of violence like we saw this week can leave an entire community feeling shaken, including children.
High school football playoffs continue tonight. 3 area teams still looking for a trip to the state championship game, and the Longhorns in a bit of a break, still conditioning, and conditioning has been a big key for this program. I've got more on that coming up.
Good morning, everyone. This is a live look that we have for you of New York City and the Rockefeller Center tree that you see right there. So beautiful as we kick off your Friday, December the 8th.
She was huge, and this is the largest litter that I've ever had the honor of helping a mama with.
This is the only time you can call the mama huge before they have a baby. She is not exaggerating. Lady Longhorn, yeah, just gave birth to 14 puppies.
Lori Zeman says her rescue lab went into labor during the Longhorn game this past Saturday. That's when Texas beat Oklahoma State for the Big 12 championship, and she says Lady Longhorn's delivery took a while.
As the national anthem was being sung for the Big 12 championship, to deliver her first puppies. Once she delivered through the day, kind of interrupt, we put the TV in here, so she's a Longhorn fan now. So we could at least partially watch the game and cheer the Longhorns on. So after that, we decided, no, this is going to be Lady Longhorn and her 14 little Longhorns.
Mama Lady Longhorn gave birth to 6 boys and 8 girls, all named after notable Texas football players, including Vince, Earl, Major, Ricky. One of the girls is named Rose in honor of the team's Rose Bowl appearances, and another pup named Sugar in honor of the upcoming Sugar Bowl.
Zeman used to be a maternity nurse. Isn't that cool, the connection here? And now that her kids are grown up, she spends some of her free time with all-volunteer nonprofit Lucky Lap Rescue. They need rescue, or they need fosters rather, so if you'd like to help them, please go to KXAN.com. I hope she names one of them Champ.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Natty. I love it. Like, what a perfect circumstance, right?
Yes.
And 14 puppies. Yeah. That's a football team. That is a football team. Let me show you what's going on with your forecast here. Happy Friday. We've got some really nice weather today. The temperatures hard to beat this time of year, but big change coming in tomorrow. Let's dive in. Clouds and radar not showing anything too exciting. We'll certainly see good amount of cloud cover this morning, but I got sunshine for you this afternoon. 65 degrees. 65. Y'all, that is where we should be with our afternoon highs this time of year. We shouldn't be waking up to 60s in December. We should be waking up to 40s. So a good 15, 20 degrees above normal. But get this, afternoon highs close to 80 degrees today. Now, it is going to be a little breezy, but if you can, get outside because this cold front will make itself known tomorrow. Let's talk about the impacts because this will move into the hill country tomorrow morning, but for the rest of us, probably tomorrow afternoon here, could potentially squeeze out 1 or 2 spot showers. Nothing that I'm concerned about. In fact, I think the rain chance is the least of our concerns here with this cold front. I think the gusty winds and the drop in temperatures are really what's going to hit you hard because we go from low to mid 70s tomorrow ahead of the cold front to highs not leaving the 50s. Isolated shower to start, but a good amount of sunshine because of the dry air coming in behind this cold front. But that dry air coming in along these winds. Watch as we go from tomorrow morning with just a little bit of air moving around to tomorrow afternoon, quite a bit of air moving around. I mean, we're talking wind gusts of about 20 to 30, even 40 miles per hour. But here's something that's also going to follow the cold front. Sunday night into Monday morning. Look at your screens here. These are your morning temperatures on Monday. And you could see there's all but a few expected to stay above freezing, expecting a near widespread freeze Sunday night into Monday morning. So really wanted to stress that since it's been a couple weeks since we've been talking about cold temperatures like that. 7-day forecast, 78 today, windy tomorrow. Again, that rain chance comes first, then it'll be the winds, then the cooler weather. 50s on Sunday, near widespread freeze to follow. We start next week with temperatures in the 60s and then potentially another storm with a rain chance Wednesday, Thursday.
Kristen, thank you. State officials have stopped a court challenge that threatened to delay property tax cuts and other constitutional amendments approved by Texas voters just last month. We told you a group of conservative activists filed lawsuits challenging the election results, claiming the voting equipment was not certified and that the machines were connected to the internet. Well, the state says the lawsuits are not valid because they were filed a day after the governor canvassed the results. A spokesman for the governor's office tells KXAN the 13 amendments approved by voters are now part of the Texas Constitution.
The U.S. Postal Inspection Service wants your help finding 2 men they say robbed a letter carrier in Leander. USPS is offering a reward of up to $150,000. Postal Service says the robbery happened Monday morning on Lucky Lane. They were last seen driving in this area. You see the car here, a dark colored sedan, 4 doors. We have more details on the men that authorities are hoping to find at KXAN.com.
Let's go to El Paso because billboards there have popped up in that city promoting New York City and San Francisco as sanctuary cities. The 2 billboards just off of I-10 are linked to a website called sanctuarycities.com. On the website's homepage, it says sanctuary cities offer ample social services and health care, and that migrants can have the ability to live, work, and enjoy life with a lower risk of deportation. Some calling the billboards misleading, though.
We're seeing it as a form of misinformation. It's really disingenuous in nature because on one hand it's really encouraging migrants to come to San Francisco, but it's not actually having any resources to connect folks to that.
Cities are designated as sanctuary cities because they limit local government employees from adding federal agencies like ICE when they request information about an individual. And according to a recent release from Governor Abbott, Texas has bused more than 70,000 migrants to sanctuary cities across the country. And an Axios report states Texas has spent $86.1 million on counting when it comes to those buses.
A medication shortage that has been happening for years is getting worse. Now some patients having an increasingly hard time finding their medications for everything from life-saving cancer treatments to ADHD medication. NBC News is talking to doctors and their patients about this major big issue impacting medications that Americans rely on daily.
When we talk about a shortage of drugs for cancer treatment, that could actually be a life or death.
We don't have the data about switching between cancer drugs. We probably won't know what will happen until a few years from now. You know, patients may forego a chance at a cure.
Coming up on Today, a look inside a growing crisis that is happening here in America.
Well, if you found yourself wondering what it takes to really own a home in 2023.
Yeah, probably you're not alone there. There's a lot of people who are wondering about that. NBC News' Christine Romans has the answer.
The housing market is frozen and expensive. Want to buy a house? You'll probably need to be making six figures, and that's just not something a lot of people in the U.S. have. It's hard even for those checking what would normally be the right boxes. An experienced 29-year-old Dylan Rose knows well.
There was no way that we came even close to being able to afford a house, despite us having good jobs, a combined $200,000 income.
Recently married, he and his wife plan to buy a home in Beacon, New York, a few hours from New York City, only to be priced out.
Within just 5 minutes of going on websites like Zillow, it just wasn't feasible at all.
Recent data from the National Association of Realtors showing the salary of a typical home buyer is $107,000, up 22% from last year. But the thing is, the median income for families is only about $75,000. So what's making buying a house so out of reach for a lot of people? One big thing, high mortgage rates. Remember, for the last year and a half, the Federal Reserve has been raising interest rates to fight inflation by slowing down the economy. And for some people, that's exactly what's happening. Those rising rates can add hundreds of dollars more to monthly mortgage payments, putting home ownership out of reach for a lot of people.
For a starter home, a minimum about $4,000 a month, plus the down payment close to $100,000 just for that.
Today, the median American household needs almost half of its income to cover the cost of owning a home. That's the highest ever on record, going back to 2006. And when you take a closer look at who ends up being able to do the buying in this market, it's older buyers.
Repeat buyers who may be boomers are the ones who are winning out on today's housing market.
They have the money, and they're often sitting in homes already with mortgages paid off. The vast majority of younger homeowners with mortgages have interest rates well below 5%, which can make it hard to move. That leads to fewer homes on the market, keeping prices high. Existing home sales last month at a 13-year low. It all means that today, first-time buyers make up only 32% of the market, historically low, and they're more likely to be in their mid-30s rather than their late 20s like they were a few decades ago.
They're substantially wealthier. And we also saw that this year's first-time home buyers are more likely to rely on financial assets, so 401k, stock, cryptocurrency for their down payment, and that's not something that every American has.
A sobering reality for Dylan and his partner, trying to build a foundation for the future.
Unless you have generational wealth, it's very, very challenging right now.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Good morning to you. Longhorns in the middle of a break from practice as they will get back to the playing field and start getting ready for that college football playoff game against Washington. They are in the conditioning phase of the long break between games, and well, Quinn Ewers points to that as a big key for the Longhorns' success this year.
The way we trusted in the strength staff and weren't complaining, and we really bought into what Coach Sark and Coach Becton and all those guys are saying, which is cool, especially with certain guys at high levels have like a higher ego maybe, but they all, I think we killed all of our egos and just understood that if we want to go as far as we want to go, then it takes everybody. And you got to put the work in.
High school football playoffs tonight. Liberty Hill back in the state semis. Didn't look like it early. Blown out in their opener against San Antonio Wagner. Went 6-4 in the regular season. Lost to San Antonio Piper in the finale for the district title. And then beat Piper last week to get back to the Final Four for the 4th straight year.
The amount of adversity we went through this season, we've had a lot of injuries. I mean, there's not many teams that can lose 4 games and be in the state semis like we are right now. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing we have going for this team.
I think it's their toughness and their, their brotherhood, the bond they have. I think that's, you have to have that in order to get to this point, and for them to go through the things they've gone through this year and to still be standing, I think it just, it's the bond that they have.
That's tonight in the Houston area against Port Neches Groves, a team that kept them out of the state championship game last year. Meantime, Westlake and North Shore tomorrow, they're at the field in Pflugerville, and you can watch it over on KBVO at 3 o'clock. Back to you.
Thanks, Roger. For those listening on the KXAN Today podcast, thanks for hanging out with us. Here's what we're tracking coming up at 5. Why the number of homes you or your neighbor can build on a residential lot in Austin is going up.